And if you have some gaps in between the pieces, that's fine. You actually want that. Okay? The reason being is that whenever I go to roll it, now it has room to spread out. If it's tightly packed and you have it really smashed down, it's not going to move anywhere, right? And you're going to get a texture that you're not looking for. Bless you.
Thank you.
Okay. So, for our rolls, the thing to remember is whatever is in contact with your cutting board is what's going to be on the outside. Okay? So right now, I've got my seaweed in contact with the cutting board. So I want to make sure that this gap right here that I have in the seaweed is now facing me, and that the rice is touching the cutting board. Okay? Now the reason for the gap is that whenever I roll this over, I want to make sure that the rice comes in contact with the rice. Right? A lot of times in sushi restaurants, you'll see that they put rice all the way across. It messes up the ratio of rice to your filling. Right? Also, it prevents it from creating like a solid seam. What will happen is it'll create like an E or a spiral, and it makes it really hard for that to seal on the bottom because you have rice touching rice. Okay? So what I'm going to be looking for is that once I fill this evenly on both sides, okay, all the way from the edge of the roll to the center, all the way to the other side, is that I have it evenly filled, right? One, so that all of my bites are the same, but also so that I have good surface tension whenever I roll it, right? If I don't get this nice and tight and have good surface tension, it's gonna be very difficult for me to cut through it, right? If it's loose and you have gaps in your roll, then
drag around.
It'll drag around and it will eventually come apart. Okay. So I don't use a sushi mat, the Makisu that I have for you guys, to roll. I just use my hands for that. I only use the Makisu to firm it up, to shape it afterwards. Okay. I think it's actually easier to do this way. It will take some practice, guys. So have fun with it. You're gonna go through a lot of these. We're gonna have a lot to practice with. It's fine to poke fun and look at everyone's rolls, but then when yours turns out, make sure that yours turns out better before you start saying something. Okay? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab the center of my nori here, and I'm gonna use my index finger and my thumb on both hands. Right? And then I've got my spirit fingers.
Spirit fingers.
These guys are going to hold the product in place while this is coming up and over. Okay, so the way that I like to equate this is it's like the crest of a wave. So that wave comes back, builds up, crashes down, and then pulls back. Okay, so that's the same thing that we're going to be doing here. Is this is going to be coming up and over the top, and then we're going to pull it back to keep it nice and tight. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay? And then the idea is to have this rice end up touching this rice at the end.
Oh God.
Make sense? Guys? And it'll be fun. I've been doing this for years, thousands of times literally. So don't look at mine and say, mine's not like that. No, it might not be. Okay? So here we go. We're going to go up and over. Then, once I get it up and over, I'm pulling back, keeping it nice and tight all the way across, and then working from the left hand side to the right hand side, keeping that nice and tight and rolling over. Okay, so it doesn't take a lot of force. Okay, only thing that I want to make sure is that I'm pulling back tightly on it, and you're using the cucumber, you're using the hardest product on the inside to use as leverage to pull back. Okay, so once I have this rolled over, it's pretty firm, it's not falling apart, but I want to make sure to shape it properly. So I've got my Makisu. Yours are very similar. It has a green side that's flat, and then it has a rounded side. Okay, so for you guys on yours, the green is what you want to be in contact with the rice. Okay, now the way that I'm going to do this is the edge of the Makisu should be in contact with the cutting board, and then the edge of the Maki-Su should also be in contact with the roll, okay? So I'm creating pressure by creating a P with my finger. So right here at the top, the top portion is only holding a place, right? I'm not creating a lot of force here, right? That's only holding its place. I'm applying pressure from the outside, right? From these two fingers is where I'm applying pressure. And then I'm holding it here and on the outside to make sure that none of the product is scooting out. And then I'm going to apply that pressure all the way across the roll. And then do the same thing on this side. So the edge of the Maki-Su in contact with the cutting board here. And just using light pressure to create a somewhat rectangular shape. So a lot of times you might see like a circular shape, but it should be more of a rectangle. And then here at the bottom, you can see your seam. The seam needs to always be at the bottom of the roll.
Never shows.
Okay? So, make sure that's good and tight. I have a damp towel and a knife for all of you guys. So before we cut, what we want to do is knife here for safety, right? So the blade is facing away from us. Towel comes over and we wipe the blade, okay? The reason we want to wipe the blade is you want to have a somewhat moist knife so that when you cut through, the starches that are in the rice naturally are not going to stick to the blade as much. It's still going to, and every couple of cuts you may need to wipe the blade again, but in order to get a nice smooth cut, that's what we need to do, okay? So you guys also have a little bit of water. You get a little bit of water on the blade, and then keep it close to the edge of the cutting board. What that's going to do is make it easy for me to get a smooth motion. If I'm here, my knuckles are going to be in the way somewhat. Okay? So if I'm here, I've got good knuckle clearance. So what we want to do is try to identify half of the roll. It's not going to be exact, guys. So try to get as close as you can to half, and you'll start to feel that eventually. Okay? So about half the roll and through. So you guys saw that I put my finger on top of the roll here. That's just my style. If you're here, it's fine. The important part is that you guys are starting toward the back of the blade, pulling back and then forward. You do not need to push down with your knives. These knives that you guys have are sharp, and you're using the motion with the sharpness of the blade to cut through it. Right? If you're pushing down, it's just going to force through, and it really probably won't even cut all the way to the bottom. Right? So you want to use the motion more so than force cutting down. So once you have those pieces, then you can turn it together. Right? And from here, you can continue cutting half, half, half.
Right.
That's the easiest way to learn. Okay? So from here, cut in half one more time. So most of the motion is here. I'm getting about halfway through the roll and then forward. Okay? Thank you, thank you, thank you. So I have sheet pins there for you guys with parchment on them. So once you take your Maki